The development of travel packages in the Magdalen Islands is an example of partnership presented by Bouffard. Please note that this project is currently undergoing. I would also like to thank the organizers for giving us the opportunity to present our product. Here's a summary of the presentation today. I'm going to walk you through the origins, the involved partnership, the COVID-19, the relaunch of the tourism sector, and then how to manage occupancy, and then the challenges, opportunities, and others. So where are the Magdalen Islands located? We are actually closer to the Maritime Islands than Quebec, to whom we politically belong to. In terms of the transport, we are connected to Prince Edward Island by a maritime route and by an air route which links us to Gaspésie, Montreal, and Quebec City. And from there, other cities in Canada. Here, tourism that comes to the Magdalen Islands is clear. It's a destination tourism. So it's not a question of going through the islands. People come here to the islands. So people will spend between 4 to 21 days here in the Magdalen Islands, which is actually the highest rate in Quebec, which encourages the development of businesses. The origins of the project was developed following a proposal by Miss Monique Brook, who has immense expertise in terms of air transport and is an owner of Club Voyage des Îles. She has more than 40 years experience here in the Magdalen Islands and also in the great north of Quebec, be it for medical or tourist reasons. She also has experience in lodging because her family launched one of the hotels. So she has that vision of both the transport and accommodation. There was also this will to attract international tourists because more than 80% of the tourists come from Quebec. So if we're able to develop the international level on an annual basis instead of seasonal, which is between the months of July and August, we're going to increase the local economy and the overall satisfaction of tourists here on the island. What we also want to do is we want to develop travel packages with specific elements from the local environment with local partners, but also really to focus on that local aspect. And the project gathers the different stakeholders. We have them from the municipal level and also from other from the public and the private sector. And when we talk about the private sector, we're talking about SMEs who provide services on a seasonal basis. And it's really to adapt to the needs of groups, because we have buses of tourists that come here, but we also have individuals who come here, for example, a family. So we want to be able to meet the needs of these different types of tourists while they're here on the islands. And these travel packages could be sold through travel agencies. So our main partners are air companies because they are the ones responsible for delivering services here. And they continue to offer services, especially in terms of medical services. For example, Air Transat for international travel, for both the entry and the exit of the country, and also Air Canada had internal flights to other parts of Canada, to and from other parts of Canada, but also has flights internationally, and they're one of our partners as well. And then we have CTMA, which is an air maritime transport company, and who are responsible for operating the maritime route between the maritime provinces and the Magdalen Islands. So for the last 2 years, we have not cruise ships, but now we're looking to redefine and if we will have these boats back and how will we operate. In terms of lodging, we have the Magdalen Hotel, and we find this hotel chain a bit everywhere in the urban centers. But here on the islands, we have a specific type of lodging that we offer. We have lots of individuals who rent houses or will be going out camping or stay with friends. So there are many individuals who need to have some sort of lodging. So we'll see that the maritime community has a tourism office who offers services locally and nationally regarding the different service offering that is available on the island. The stakeholders involved in the file and with whom that we work, we have Economic Development Canada, and they're going to be present in the commercialization abroad. But unfortunately, the programs that they are offering do not meet our needs. We also have a Transport Canada because they're responsible for regulating air transport. Our airport is a federal airport because it's considered a remote area. So this is not a organization or establishment that is managed by the municipality. In terms of the provincial level, we have the Ministry of Transport involved. In terms of the reimbursement of travel fees for seasonal and permanent residents, they're responsible for rolling out that program. And then we have also the Office de Protection du Consommateur, the Consumers Protection Office. They all provide funding. And also in terms of legislation regarding all lodging and the different types of service offering that are available here on the territory, they're funded by them. We are registered with this office, and we have to respect the different legislation that are in place in terms of the Consumers Act. And then we have the COVID-19. COVID-19 has significant impacts on the industry. Even though we didn't have any deaths here or significant hospitalizations as a result of COVID-19, we saw that the international flights be canceled and also the occupancy rate dropped significantly. So we also the fact that the Air Canada stopped flights to the Magdalen Islands except during the summer season and there was a direct flight from Montreal, and that had a huge impact on the stakeholders. It's the only region really that we're conserved one flight during the summer season. That was here in the Magdalen Islands. There was the arrival of other air transporters here, and their impact we don't really know yet. We'll have discussions later on if they want to participate or not. They're welcome to join this initiative. This is the first summer that they're offering services here in the islands, so we are looking forward to see what services they'll be offering. In terms of the reimbursement process for the Club Voyage clients, and we are currently including this here because of the impact of the COVID-19, because it was a lot of work for the Club Voyage personnel, and it was a lot of efforts that were deployed, so we were not able to develop our project the way that we would have liked it, so we didn't make the necessary progress that we would have liked to attain. And then also trips by planes were limited. There was, the closing of accommodation, of activities. Some activities were not held last year or this year. Their accommodation decided not to open during 2020, and maybe they'll open in 2021, but that had an impact. And then with the final losses for businesses and organizations, and there's a limited amount of labor. All the different economic relief measures that were available has had an impact on labor. So we had lots of seasonal laborers. These are individuals that come from outside of the Magdalen Islands and spend the summer here and work in the different tourist related activities or sectors. So we were not able to hire the individuals if we were going to be able to open, so therefore we were not able to reserve these individuals. So that had an impact on labor. So the recovery of the tourism sector, so yes, we had the reopening of activities with certain limitations. So this is a top destination among Quebecers. We're talking about 80-90% of the clientele. So one of the specific issue of the islands, if you're coming by the maritime route from the New Brunswick or PEI, had closed their border. So it's a long way to undertake in order to be able to reach the Magdalen Islands, and that discouraged many people from coming to visit us. And then there's also the message of patience in our social network. So what we saw and what we didn't see before was also the many stakeholders in terms of restaurant. So please respect our personnel. Please, foresee and take and be patient if it takes time. We're lacking personnel, and that was something we hadn't seen before. There was also there was not enough vehicles for. That means that in the terms of rental vehicles, that was not, they were not enough. So it's been 2 years now. There aren't enough rental vehicles available. And some individuals are even willing to lend their cars to individuals and to acquaintances, because we have an issue in terms of getting people to move around the islands. And then also changes or amendments to the different procedures in order to take the maritime route towards New Brunswick and PEI. And then just the reaction of local residents. So during July, we have a reaction that is more marked. And then all of a sudden it seems that we're being invaded, or a sense of over tourism during the summer period. That is those 8 weeks. And then we're all trying to figure out how to work with these new dynamics. And so to be able to respond to the needs of this season, in the fact that the tourists come here during a specific period of time. The different challenges, opportunities, and learned lessons. It's a bit difficult to develop models and evaluate products. Most companies and organizations are already booked. So we're going to free someone up to produce the procedures or the guides. That requires a lot of efforts, and it hasn't already done. In terms of financing of the project, yes, we've had a few difficulties in order to get the necessary funding, and it involved financial partners at the provincial and federal level. That means that there's a specific criteria that we need to meet, and that renders us inadmissible. It's also a lack of knowledge regarding the current legislation in terms of air transport and also in the tourist sector. That means that many stakeholders were going to offer at this price, or we're going to do this or do that. In terms of insurance, liability, we know at the international level we can't do that. And there's also adapting the product to international clients. So even though we're talking about 80-90% of the tourists are from Quebec, it's not, we don't have the same background in terms of the international clientele. So I'm just going to give you 2 examples for Julie Schneider's house might be interesting to a French person, but it won't interest someone who's from Japan or from Chinese, because nobody knows who's Julie Schneider over there. Jean Lapierre accident, that's the site. We talked about that. Yes, that might be of interest for some Quebecers and maybe some Canadians, but internationally it has no weight. And also the opening of businesses between the months of June and September, that's going to be one of the challenges, because we're asking stakeholders to stay open, and so that we can develop travel packages so we can attract individuals, but we want them to come outside the summer season or the peak season. So I believe that we're going to be able to create a product that will be attractive. There are also the different perceptions and ways of doing. So because we have, for example, stakeholders that come from the public sector, we have ministries, we have the SMEs, we have the owners, we have businesses that are well established to say no way. We have the air transporters. We're not all on the same wavelength, and we don't have the same POV. So perceptions can be different and difficult to reconcile, but that's something that we'll be working on. And also to integrate the development of a project into the regular operation. So we've had some issues in terms of the involvement or availability of stakeholders. So during the summer season, everyone is booked up. We don't have time to develop their process or their procedures. And September, everybody's burnt out, and then it's October, and then it's winter. And then we start preparing the upcoming season. But internationally, we have to do that much more ahead of time. And then also in terms of the speed at which decisions are taken. So nobody responds at the same time. But we believe that we're going to be able, that everybody's able to work together, and that everyone can have a product and a brand image that will represent the Magdalen Islands, and that will ensure that we have a positive view of the Magdalen Islands. So here are some images of our beautiful landscape here in the Magdalen Islands. Some are taken from the summer season, and some others are during the springtime. So what you see here, for example, these are the lobster traps that are soaking in the water. And then access to the beach, to the sea, which could be also in the fall or the spring. In the spring it's a bit cooler. But there are other activities that you can do while you're here visiting us. Thank you very much.